Hello, everybody. We want to thank you so much for joining us today. We are, again, just so humbled and so blessed that we have the honor of speaking to you guys today on a topic that we are both very, very passionate about, and something that our special guest also is very passionate about and happens to be a little bit of an expert herself through her own journey. And so without further ado, before we introduce her, we're going to briefly introduce ourselves for those of you that are new watching. We are the Claymans, and I am Cheyenne.
My name's Kim.
And we are a doubly blended family, which basically means we've got double blends. We've got the blend of the cultures, because ik ben Amerikaans, which means
that you're American.
Yes.
But I'm from Belgium, from Europe.
That's right. And we live here in Belgium, and we are raising not just one, but two children together. One of them comes from the two of us, our little sweet 18-month-old Mason the Brave. But
Yes,
then we have what I consider to be my best bonus.
I have a daughter from a previous life.
Yes.
Shall we say.
Yes, and a life that we're so happy is joining us, our beautiful girl, Billy, and she is, almost 13 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is how we get the double blend, because we're we're blended with cultures and blended family, and our passion is to help you, other families just like ours, help thrive in the middle of the chaos, in the middle of the kind of crazy struggles and obstacles, because we know that blended family life is tough, and there is a lot of struggles when it comes to blending your family well, and also blending all of the relationships that are a part of that family. And one relationship that none of us can deny or run from is the relationship between the two co-parents. And so we have co-parents,
Yes,
we have the parents in the household between a new blended or step family, and then we have the parents of the child, the two biological parents. And today we want to bring to you a little more insight, a little more know-how, a little more, direction possibly of how you can navigate those tricky waters of how to co-parent well and have a positive co-parenting experience.
Yes, please.
And so we are not going to be the only ones to talk to you about that today, because we like to pool our wealth of experts that we have come friends with. And one of those is one of our favorite, most amazing girls all the way out there in California. We have Miss Fiona Kong with us today. She is the author of Home Sweet Homes Journal. And Fiona, we'd like to welcome you to our broadcast today. And would you please just, say a quick hello to everybody?
All right. Thank you, Shay and Kim. It really is an honor to be here. I love what you guys are doing for the community, and, just welcoming me to share my story with you and your audience.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's how we feel too. It's amazing how there's such a wealth of knowledge out there, but I think it's always a struggle to try to figure out, how do you put it all together, and how can I use this information for my good, for the good of my family? And you've done that. You've created something really beautiful and really amazing. And so we would love if you would just share with everyone today a little bit about what brought you to creating your journal. You don't necessarily have to tell us about the journal just yet, but what brought you to that journey of creating the journal?
Yeah, so my co-parent and I, we split up about 2.5 years ago. So my son was 2.5 at that time. And it was just, when you split up, it's such a difficult time all around for yourself personally, for your child. It's just everything is changing. And, looking for a way to support my son, we've always put him first. And in looking for any resources out there, tools that could help young children, I just found that there was surprisingly nothing out there. A lot of the tools are made for the parents, and there are children's books, but there wasn't really anything I feel like that really bridged the gap between the two homes. And so I think that's what I was missing, just with the back and forth. It just felt so transactional, and I wanted to bring it together even more so. And that's kind of what propelled me to find a solution and my creation.
Yeah. Wow. You can tell that it came from a deep, earnest place.
Yeah.
right
I feel
here,
it.
right? Like a mom who just wants a solution, who wants to do best by her child in a really challenging situation. I mean, I think, Kim, you know this more than I do because you went through a very similar experience yourself.
Oh my gosh, heartbreaking every
Yeah.
time. And if you can help that little child, make it just that much easier for them. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. I
It's,
think, there's a lot of guilt that you feel after the breakup. And that's a hard part to reconcile with because it's your child that pays the price of, their life being, rooted up completely. So,
I know.
if I can make, this tool has really helped my child. And I just, to see it help others is the most rewarding thing I could possibly ask for, in my life.
Yes,
That's beautiful.
we completely understand that
That's
for
beautiful.
sure. And something that was so key that I feel that you mentioned, Fiona, was the phrase bridging the gap, because there is that gap, right? It's like you feel it, your co-parent feels it, and your child feels it. There's that gap of that feeling like I'm missing something, and we know that sometimes what in our own experience with working with step families, sometimes what's missing is that cohesiveness, that positivity between the co-parents. And it is a very challenging road. We ourselves also have had some highs and lows with navigating that experience. And I was wondering if you would share with our audience just a few tips, something from your own experience, something that you would share has helped you, maybe besides the journal, to start off with, that has helped you have a more positive relationship with your co-parent.
Yeah. So I'm going to stir the pot a little bit because I feel like this is something people get defensive about. But I would say the number one thing that really helped move my relationship with my co-parent forward was looking at myself and, what I was bringing to the relationship. I think when you split up, you feel like you're on two separate teams, like it's like their house and then my house. So it kind of feels like you're opposing, on opposing sides. And I think also as a co-parent, you tend to get, with your co-parent, you tend to get like defensive, right? If someone says something to you, you're like, oh, but he did or she did, that. There's a lot of that going on. So when I say look at yourself, I think most people would be like, no, but I'm doing this. I'm doing, like I do this. But I want people to like just dig deeper into, if they look at yourself, if you are being defensive, why is that? Like question, like your role with your co-parent and not always just go with how things are, like just don't let things go on autopilot, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I feel like you just let things go. You tend to do things the same way is what I'm getting at. So yeah, more towards like looking at yourself and what you're bringing.
Yeah, wow, that is controversial. I think that most people would think, wait a second, I thought this woman was going to help us, but but no, I think that so coincides with so much of what we teach our students as well, and something that we've personally lived, is that we definitely have experienced, that there's only so much in this life that you can control, and you most certainly cannot control another person. I think any parent has even experienced that, whether it's you in a past relationship, but even with your own children, we can't control our children. Thank God they have these beautiful own minds and spirits that move forward on their own, and same thing with us. And I think the more that we can go within, is that first step, is a great way to do that. And did you know when you came to that, like, because it sounds like it's something that you live as well, was this something that you came to right away, like when you first maybe say broke up with your ex, or was it something that you kind of came to over time?
I can pinpoint exactly when it was because this was months after we had broken up, and our relationship was very very transactional. Like it wasn't awful, it wasn't super contentious, but it was really just we would exchange and not have a lot of conversation outside of our son. And I was like, okay, we're in this together forever. Right, like he's not going away. And I was like, but is this how I want our relationship to be? And I was like, no, I don't want it to be like this. So I just thought about like all the things he had said, and I really took it to heart. One of the things he had said to me was like, and this was, you know, towards the end when, you know, we were bickering a lot, and, you know, he said, you're very negative. And I feel like up until that point, I never really seriously took it into consideration. But then when I thought about it, I thought about, you know, my childhood. You can go so deep, right, into like backing up into why you are the way you are. And I was like, you know, I really am. That's the household I grew up in. Like I am negative, and I didn't even really realize like the toll it took on our relationship. So at that point, it was like a conscious decision to say, you know, I gotta fix this. And I started listening to like, I was like, how do I fix this? So I started listening to like motivational talks and like, you know, meditation, and just, you know, there's so many awesome resources. I listen to like Wayne Dyer, like Brene Brown, like there's so many good people. Like have that in your life and it'll change, right? Like if you don't have that in your life, get it in your life. So that's my advice.
Wow. Oh, I love it. I'm going to listen to a talk by you. My gosh, TED Talks with Fiona Kong in the future. What I love about this, and I don't know if you had a comment, sweetie, I'll give you a moment in a second. I love that you actually are basically professing that you learned something from your co-parent, like that you actually paused, and instead of getting defensive, like you actually took to heart something that he said, even though it was against, right? Even though it was maybe not something that was positive, but it seems like it gained you a positive result in all of it.
Yeah. You know, just taking responsibility for yourself is all like the best thing you can do, because you can't, as you know, we said, you can't control the other person. But me, yes. Like I can, you have the power to change things, you know, at any point in time.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
I know.
Wow.
I love this. And it's so, you know, and I just love it because I think when it comes to a relationship between two people who used to be together and then they're apart, it can be so natural to view each other as enemies, you know, so almost anything that leaves their mouth, you can build up that defense, you can put up that wall. And it is hard to see truth through that, you know, whether it's with our mother, a coworker, or anything. It's just like, but especially I think with your, you know, someone you share a child with, it can be so easy to put up that wall and not listen to anything. But all in all, I think that there's truth out there in everyone, and we just have to be willing to receive it, you know. And I love that it came to you from maybe the strangest place, but what a benefit it came for you and ultimately your child that you guys share together, which I think is the most positive part of that whole experience, and that you're growing as a human being too.
Yeah, I think when people think like, oh, there's nothing I need to do, I think that's the wrong attitude, because there's always, you know, something you can learn, or you can always be better. And it's right, a continuous process to self-improve.
Yes.
And you just took the first step there.
Yeah.
Your first tip.
Yeah, of many.
I love it. Would you like to share another one? You're on a roll already.
Yeah, I think the second thing to just make your relationship more positive with your co-parent is, you know, just genuinely care about them, you know, and because it shows that you care about your child. And you know, and I think you can show that you care about them through empathy, gratitude, and it can be very hard to do that, you know. It's a challenge when things, you know, up until for years, right, have been a certain way. But, you know, at that point when I had figured that I was very negative, I was like, oh, you know, like how do I change this? And just, saying something good to your co-parent, right? It's the same way we talk to our kids, right? You say something nice to them, the same thing. And we forget like how easy it can be to just turn something around if like you can turn something around. But yeah, so I'll stop there, but and let you guys weigh in on just genuinely caring about your co-parent.
And also, I feel like you're stirring the pot. You're making a good old stew here, girl. Like that is also, though, I feel so controversial, but why does it have to be, right? Like it's I think, I think something that we hear a lot about from our clients is some people, I think, get concerned, and maybe if you feel led, you could weigh in on this. I think some people feel like, how do I maybe like empathize with also protecting my boundaries,
Is that exactly?
right?
Because it, like you said, it could be, it's like a double-edged sword. Is that the way to say it in English? It's like a slippery slope. You can care, but don't
Almost
care
like too much, like to be healthy for
or
yourself,
too little, or
yeah.
always use it in a positive sense. So I like when you say something positive, like
Yes.
it starts with you.
Yeah.
You add some positivity to the relationship.
Right.
And like they say, you get what you give. So then of course, what do you give?
Yeah.
Exactly. I know the thing that I asked, I remember I was kind of nervous to kind of make that jump, because we had just been like, oh, this is what happened. And, hi, bye. It was very just, as I said, transactional. And one day I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to ask him, like, how can I help you this week? I felt like I was like, oh, what's he going to think? But, just a little thing like that. And, I don't, obviously, if there was abuse or, something, in where it was unsafe, like I don't recommend that. But in every other case, I think, just extending an olive branch and say, so I did ask him, I said, hey, is there anything I can help you with this week? And that was kind of like the start of, opening up dialogue and just changing things because I was not satisfied with the way things were going.
That's beautiful. Right. That ownership, like taking responsibility.
When you think of how much does a kind word actually cost you? I could almost argue to say that it costs you a lot less than a negative one. I mean, right? Because it's like, again, I continually think of our clients or the other step families that we've researched or that we're in communication with. And I know sometimes, we have people say, but Kim and Shai, like, okay, so if I say this and they're not going to say it back or they twist my words, but it's like at the end of the day, what we practice even in our marriage and we aim to practice with our fellow co-parent is like, but that, like you said, but you don't also want kind words to be transactional either. It's like that unconditional love part that you practice. I loved your example with your kid, and where your co-parent and you may not be in love anymore, you can unconditionally be kind to them. It's like, even if they're not kind to you or it's not being reciprocated, I've seen some amazing things happen with kindness. When you're kind repeatedly, it's amazing how really ice can chip away from someone. It may be maybe like a trust factor or something that someone may have to realize like, hey, you're being genuine. I'm actually curious, when you extended that olive branch, when you actually took that step and asked your co-parent how you could help him this week, how did he respond?
I remember that. He was just like, no, there's nothing. And it was just it wasn't anything big. But I made it a point to do it again, like it didn't stop with just one time. So I think that was where I was like, okay, I need to start doing more of these things. And then eventually, kind of getting off topic, but eventually I did, this was regards to taking ownership. of yourself and yourself. And I called and I apologized for the things that I felt that, where I wasn't my best, were things that I, if I made him felt, this way. So yeah, I just like, I'm just going to do it because it was the right thing to do to move our relationship forward. And I got the best response where he said, I had been wanting to call you too for months now. And it was, like when you reach that point, you're like, it's like a relief. It's so much relief. You're like, oh, wow. Yeah. So we met up in person and we talked it out, and it was things from at that point changed. And this was like probably a year after we were co-parented. So it wasn't like right off the bat. As I said, it was a journey.
Yeah. And I love that. Thank you for emphasizing that, because I do feel like sometimes in step families, there's a little bit of a hopelessness, feeling like it'll never get better. But you reminded me of something tonight, Fiona, that nothing changes if nothing changes, right? It's like, if we don't change ourselves, it's like, then maybe nothing will change. And something I find myself repeatedly helping my stepmoms with is, it's like, or especially our parents, or maybe who have been married before, it's like, well, with your ex or with your, your co-parent, it's like, you almost have to allow them to change, because if you always expect them to be the same way, you have to imagine and see them changing in your mind, or like you have to, if they are changing, allow them to change. And I love that. It sounds like with you guys, you at least gave each other the space to come together, and it maybe started a little bit with you and maybe a little him and a little bit more you, and it led you guys to that journey of forgiveness, it sounds like. And did you notice when you guys had that conversation, how were things afterwards? Like, now that I guess it's been another 2 years or so since that time, like, have things continually been pretty positive for you guys?
Oh, very much so. We're able to, I actually see him each time we transition. So we stay and we talk, like we chat. We're at a point where I actually had a meeting and I didn't have a place to do it in the city. And I was at his house. I have his key and I was able to go into his house, and, so I feel like, just, when I think about how I wanted it to be, it's almost like, how do I get to that point? I had to like back up and be like, okay, I want to go here, but I'm here. So, which, yeah, it's just like, even these like incremental things, get you there, right? It's like everything in life. You won't get to from here to here like in a month or two, but just little things add up, and it really did in this case. And I really I respect my co-parent. I love him as a father, and as a person, he's wonderful. I will say that.
What a wealth of knowledge that you bring to this to the table here tonight. I feel like
I feel like I definitely had like a like a awakening post separation, and it's I don't know what it takes. What you can't just like expect it, or I don't know how everyone arrives to it, but it's really doing the self work on yourself, and admitting where you messed up.
Yeah.
Right. No, what an awesome kind of quote or takeaway from the talk so far today is like, to have a better, more positive, cohesive relationship with your co-parent, work on yourself, or start with yourself, start on you. And that's, I feel for every parent that's watching our talk right now, like, feel empowered by that, because that is something you have control over. There's so much in step families and just in life that you don't have control over. We all have now survived a worldwide pandemic. So we all know there's so much we can't control, but you can control how and then what you do, right? It's like controlling those thoughts that come in, and then choosing what to do with them and how we then act upon them. And so Fiona, just thank you so much for bringing that beautiful wisdom out. And before we move on, I know, make sure you say that. Yeah.
Taking that opportunity to look yourself in the eye, to be honest, to not run away, to not play the blame game. No, it takes courage, and it's every day. Every day you take one little step, incremental step, but you take it nonetheless.
No, thank you, Kim, for saying that, because like during that time it was very, I wouldn't say it was dark. It was hard. A lot of crying, like just by myself, and it is very hard to do that. To just be completely honest and vulnerable, and just not make any more excuses for the way things that have happened. It's I'm like, it's I just feel like when you want the best for your child, you can't do it unless you're at your best and you really know yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, I'm getting goosebumps. I love it. Fiona, is there anything else you wanted to share as far as any kind of insight as far as a positive, help keeping that positivity or building that positive relationship with your co-parent?
I mean, I would say really just the last thing is, and we kind of touched upon this because all this is like very intertwined, but if your communication is not working, you probably need to try something different. I think we're just so used to doing things the way we know how, or that we're used to. And, as you said, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So I just feel like when, a lot of times, you're asking your co-parent to do something, and, but I think it sometimes can come off the wrong way, or just, if you're still asking, and I don't know, I just feel like when I ask my co-parent something, I always have like advice or suggestions, of how to implement something, because I don't want to like put it all on him. Like if I'm going to ask for a favor, like, or change the way we do something, like I give a little bit more like context. It's like, oh, I feel this way because, or like, just, or just have different ways we can execute, this thing. So I think people just like ask, but they don't take it a step further to be like how we can get to this point. So I just want to say that with communicate, if it's not working, try something else.
Exactly, especially if it's maybe the same struggles you had when you were in a relationship.
Yeah.
With that, right? I mean, we've been talking about that a lot, about how co-parenting is, if not, I think, guided in an intentional way, it is kind of set up to fail, because for some reason the relationship didn't work out between the two parents. And then you kind of, so often many parents, not everyone, but go into a co-parenting relationship almost with the same intentions and expectations, or even sometimes we've noticed more positive intentions about thinking like, okay, our relationship didn't work, but our co-parenting like should totally work. It's about the kid, but it's like, if you do everything the same, you may be setting yourself up for continuous failure. And like you pointed out just now, maybe communication can definitely be a component there.
Yeah. It's just so funny because like when you immediately like ask for something, right? Like say you're like, oh, I read a lot of like forums with like co-parenting issues, and it's like crazy the stuff that goes on. And there was this one mom, I guess, who was complaining about how her kid was at his dad's house, and he would just come back and everything would be like dirty and stuff like that. And I feel like it would be so easy to just go off on the parent, right? Like you probably like natural reaction, like I'm pissed, right? But there's a different way to go about it, and just say like, hey, it's really taking me a lot of time to clean the clothes, like when he comes back from your house, like, just say like, just find a different approach. And there's always a different way to say something.
Yes,
this could bring you back to advice number 2, is like, hey, how can I help you?
Yeah.
start off a conversation there. But I love in general, I love how you make these things look so simple. If it doesn't work, just try something else. Say something positive. What do I bring to the table? Oh my gosh, wow. It's like, so often we're so in the thick of it and we're so driven by our emotions and expectations and there's like guilt and then there's anger and okay, I love these 3 simple things bring me back to myself. That's how I feel. Thank you.
Yeah.
And by simple, I think he totally means it as a positive. Yeah. Cause it's like,
absolutely.
Cause I know I'm sure your journey to some of these concepts wasn't simple, but it also reminds us of sometimes how simple things can be or how simple it can be. We complicate
simple,
things, right? Yeah. Isn't that KISS, right? Keep it simple. Not stupid. How about sexy? That's my version.
Simple doesn't mean easy, but it's like
exactly. Yeah.
I think the most beautiful things in life are the simple things. Like you say, we complicate things so often.
Yeah.
How can we uncomplicate things? How can we make it tone it down? And I think you just did so in a very beautiful way.
Oh, thank you. I mean, we don't have the super contentious relationship, so I'm sure it's a lot more difficult in many other circumstances that I'm not aware of. But I think these are very, as you said, it's very like simple. It brings things back to the basics of like, just being about, not just about you, and it is about you, but like helping your co-parent, because chances are they're in the same boat, right? They're struggling too.
Exactly.
And
putting yourself in their shoes, I feel more and more. And I love that imagery of olive branch too, like really extending your arm to help them. And also just always going back to thinking about how your child's going to be raised by them, like you're co-raising your child. And it is like what type of a person do you want to help raise your child? What kind of environment do you want your child to go in? And if you can be a part of helping that be healthier in any way, even if it's a little bit, I think we all would extend that olive branch,
Hope so.
Yes.
Maybe after tonight.
Yes.
A little bit of the world.
Definitely.
Could be changed.
Well, I think one way, Fiona, that you have extended the olive branch to the world, as in helping families, step families around the world, help bring a voice to their child in these circumstances, and also help have a positive, communicative, I feel like, forum for co-parents is your journal that you've created. And I would love it. We would love it if you would share with our audience just a little bit about your journal and what is the mission behind it?
Yes. So I'll show you what it looks like. It didn't start out this way. So it started off as a little $2 planner from the dollar store. And, just seeing, and envisioning how I wanted it to serve my child, it morphed into like this book. And it basically starts off as, I wanted it to be, so it combines the benefits of a journal plus a planner. So it's like an undated yearly planner, because, day to day, my son was like, he's like, where am I tomorrow? What's happening? And I hate that he has every right to know what's going on in his life, right? I think it gives him security. It gives him control over his life. And I feel like he didn't have that, because I would just have like a calendar on the refrigerator. I was like, oh, does dad have this? And, but it still was just like, it was just so messy. So this book is, it stays with a child as they go back and forth between homes. It begins with like a section of all about me, and each section begins with an affirmation. So it's kind of like a little memory book where it has like their favorite things, and you capture like their stats, like how old they are, how tall they are, how much they weigh, their favorite heroes and animals. And you can put a picture. My son put his handprint in here. Rules to have in both houses, what he loves about both houses. And then like each month begins with, I'll show you with an affirmation. So the first one is I am enough. And there's like a little child parent activity for, both of the, your child to fill out and then the parents to fill out, because I think it's important to still have that dialogue with your child, with, for them to have a sense of togetherness, so for I am enough, it's like, I'm proud of myself because, and then the parents would write, we are proud of you because, so it kind of mirrors each other. And then it has a monthly calendar. And then this, the last thing I'll show you is this, like just the weekly spread. So each day there's like space to journal. And there's like their schedule. It's like today I am with and how they feel. So we use it right now. My son's 5. He can't write on his own. So we use it more as a tool of like just filling in like what's happening at our house, because, still 5. He's still like, there's things we just want to know. Or we write down like something funny he said, it's just, like I want to capture it in here. So really just the mission of this book is to, just it's child focused. First of all, while it has benefits for the parents, it really is made for the kid, because as I said, there were no tools out made for kids. So I just want them to feel a sense of, still feel loved by both their parents, despite not having them in the same house. And, they could always look back and say, look, this is what my dad or what my mom wrote about me, and I think it really just also brings a sense of connection where at night when we sit down together and at nighttime before bed, I'll ask him, what was your favorite part of the day, or, whatever question I ask. And, we record it in here, and it just, that bonding time for us is so special. It's just like every night that he's with me, right? Because I have him only 50% of the time. And to have that moment of like reflecting on his day and, him telling me about how he feels. I want these little kids to grow up and be able to talk about their feelings no matter what. And sometimes he circles like is happy, and he circles sad, and he circles mad. Sometimes he circles all, like 3 of them, but he's talking about it. You know what? He has come a long way towards being able to talk. And he wasn't always like that. So I'm seeing a big difference. And I especially for little boys, I'm like, I want little boys to be able to, like, I mean girls too, but like especially I want men to be able to talk about their feelings. And so that's my goal.
Right. Little men grow into big boys, big men, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow, what a mission that you have. That is just incredible. Yes, round of applause.
Big fan
for you. I love that you can tell that it grew out of you, that like you had this seed and it was watered, and now there's like this beautiful harvest, like that you have something for your family, but now you're bringing it to so many other families out there. And I think what's really great that you did is that you offered us a place of connection and a place where, like you so eloquently said, like the child, it's so hard, I think, for any parent to get their child to express themselves and to share their feelings and to feel okay, especially going back and forth between 2 homes. There can be so many feelings.
And you have no idea what's going on there.
Right?
And when you're not around, you have no idea.
Yes.
What are they doing? What are they eating? How are they feeling?
Right.
But you do.
Yeah, all that stuff matters. I'm like, I want to know what you had for dinner at Dad's house. Like, it seems all these little things matter. And so we write a lot. And I was like, we kind of need more space, but it's
that'll be in volume 2.
And I can imagine that a book like that lasts 1 year, right?
Yes. So we have our first, like the one I made, like that I bought, is filled with a whole year of handwritten memories. So it's like a little diary for my kid when he's grown up. And now that I've incorporated different features, like his handprint, it just makes it more special and personal. And it looks way cuter than the one from the dollar store.
I also have to say that it looks rather sturdy. If it goes back and forth a year long, I could feel the quality through the screen.
Yeah. I invested in like high quality paper. I was like, it's a kid, so it's
Right.
So yeah, I got the best type of paper I could, and it's heavy. It's like over a pound. So
awesome. Look at that. Building muscles in those little ones. I think what's really great, if I can just say that it's that something you did and that you brought together in the simplicity of a book is bringing both households together. You know, I think kids that grow up in blended families where, you know, we've done this research, it shows that they become more resilient. It shows that they're better problem solvers. They definitely struggle too. And I think so much of that is they feel like their lives are so separate. They feel like so much that they have to do, like, you know, I have different clothes at mommy and daddy's, I have different toys, I have a lot of times different birthdays, but I love that you've brought something that they will have and can have for potentially the rest of their lives, something they can share with their children, something that is like, okay, mommy and daddy, you know, it didn't work out for them romantically, but they came together in love for me. And I have proof, like I have something from my childhood that actually shares the two of them all in one place. And I love that. I love that. This journal is really just a beautiful gift to everyone in your family, but especially your son, especially the children that are going to be impacted by this.
Oh, thank you for those beautiful words. Yeah, that's it really warms my heart to see just what an impact it makes on the kids, because it's still hard, you know. I hate not being with my son, but you know, this helps in some way, you know, and just reading what he's been up to it's really fun too, and it is a gift when a co-parent participates.
Exactly, you know, and it's nice that at least there's prompts. I know sometimes it's like that question I used to hate when my mom would ask me when I got home from school, how was school? Good. And it was like, I know she wanted to know more. She wanted to know, like, what did you do? What did you learn? What projects did you work on? How did it make you feel? Like, did you answer any questions? Like, did you have, you know, and I love that. I'm sure every parent that has their child go back and forth between two homes has that same kind of feeling. Like, I just want to be there. I want to know. And this journal seems to help fill in that gap, you know, seems to help fill in the blanks a little bit for a mom and dad.
Yeah, it can be used so many ways. I mean, it's blank space. It's a journal. You could use it any way you like. So it's not just, you know, it's not just like writing about the day, but I feel like for families that, you know, maybe it would be a trigger, I guess, for one parent to know what's going on at the other, right? Because I feel like that can be very sensitive, right? If you're like, oh, there's a stepmom or stepdad and it's like hard. So I think there's definitely a lot of leeway in how to use it. You could journal about, you know, just different questions, you know, just like, what's your favorite, you know, superhero and why? And, you know, there's like, you don't have to necessarily go into the details. I mean, that's what we love. That's what we can handle. We're okay with that. But, you know, there's a lot of flexibility. It's blank space.
Awesome. Aww.
If I may, what stood out, one more thing that stood out to me, besides raising men that love talking about their emotions, of course, is the fact that it helps make the kid feel loved. So often I feel is that children could grow up thinking like, why did my parents have me? Why do I exist? Why am I here? They don't even love each other. All that negative BS that, and you turn that around. I love that. It's a very, very beautiful mission, achievement, all of that. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was definitely created based out of just not just what I thought my kid needed, but based off what I needed as a kid, right? Like the affirmations that start each month, we actually write them on the mirror. And I was like, you know, I need these too, because these are things I didn't hear when I was a kid, and being a single parent is hard. So all these affirmations, I pick them as a well-rounded, to be part of like your whole life. And so when people think, oh, it's just for your kid, no, it's for the parents too. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I love that I just typed in, I was curious. I typed in into Google Home Sweet Homes Journal, and you were the top rank there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like that. If anyone who's listening, who's watching, they can just Google Home Sweet Homes Journal and they can find you. Of course, they can always reach out to us.
Yes.
We're always very glad to connect you guys.
Yes, but I would love Fiona also to offer, so anyone listening, whether on the live right now or the recording, if someone would like to get in touch with you, and especially if they want to get one of these journals in their homes, sweet homes, how can they do that? What's the easiest way?
Yes, as Kim, thank you, Kim, for sharing. So yes, it's homesweethomesjournal.com. Same handles on Instagram and Facebook, Home Sweet Homes Journal. So definitely please reach out. I would love to answer any questions and share more about my experience. So thank you both, just from the bottom of my heart. You guys are very special to me.
Oh, likewise. I know, we can't wait till we meet in person someday, because it is going to happen. It is going to happen.
Speak it out.
Exactly. And we will be friends for a very long time, continually learning from each other, continuing to grow with each other. And I think, just on behalf of Kim and I, Fiona, and everyone watching and all of our students, I just want to say thank you so much for your time and your energy and just your spirit tonight. What a blessing you are to us all. Again, guys, go out and get your copies right now. Go get them. What a perfect and awesome Christmas present for your whole family. And here we go. Here's to more connection and more just cohesiveness and love in our entire families. Let's spread that love and kindness around.
Love it.
Good night.